ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to use too much of your time with an introduction, but I do think it's necessary that I give you some background on what we're trying to achieve with our utility. It's a utility on the MQL5 market. It's not an EA per se, which means that you have to provide a little bit of input. It's a semi-automated solution, but then most of the activities on your screen is actually automated. So I need to provide you with some background, and I've tried to demonstrate these concepts clearly on a few slides. Right, so we're WincorpSA, the owners and the developers of Stratbuilder Lite, and as I mentioned earlier on, we've been on the MQL5 market for a few years on the MetaTrader 4 utility market. So what is Stratbuilder Lite? It is software to simplify and automate your online trading. That's what it is. It is software. Then, as I've mentioned earlier on, the Stratbuilder Lite utility is a utility per se. It's defined as a utility on the MQL5 market, but when you then supply the settings, it functions as an EA, as an expert advisor. So our experience is, and I think that many of you would be able to attest to this, that manual trading, you know, if you're not a specialist, it's very difficult to be successful with manual trading. So we started out with the intention to automate things, which we did. And in all honesty, we found that that's also not the answer, to fully automate everything, but to rather keep control and have our client, the trader, manage the account by intervening now and then. So that's the conclusion that we're at the moment. Our conclusion is that it's better to do a combination of the two. You know, as human beings, we still one up on a computer, although the computer has its place and its function, and it's great for the computer and the software to exercise routine activities, and then for us as the trader just to come in there now and then and exercise our good judgment. So therefore, what I'm presenting to you today is what we call a semi-automated solution. So we're just demonstrating that concept here clearly, because you know it's so easy to get confused with this now, with the intervention that we're talking about, and coming to a conclusion that we're back to manual trading, which it isn't. If you have a look on your screen now, if you can see my cursor, this whole operation here on the right-hand side, where Stratbuilder places the trades, where it reads the account profit and then closes the trades, and we'll go into some more detail on exactly how this works just now. And then a new basket starts. That whole operation is still very much fully automated. And then there's some limited input required by the trader, but that doesn't mean that we're going back to manual trading now. So what is this concept of ours, and what makes it unique? So we're doing grid trading per se, and the software then opens buy and sell trades if you activate both directions at preset price level increments. And then the profit taking is what makes it unique. We do not take profit on individual trades. We take profit on a basket of trades when the cumulative profit reaches a preset profit percentage on account balance. So therefore we limit the lot size, because we're allowing more than one trade to open. We limit the lot size, and it's dynamically calculated as a percentage, the margin usage as a percentage of free margin. We limit it to be less than 1% per trade, and then we accumulate or calculate the collective profit on a number of trades, and then it closes. The software closes all of these trades all together. We call those trades a basket of trades when we reach the account or the targeted profit percentage at least. So this here is just a graphical presentation of how this actually works. So we're starting out at the bottom here. Our market is progressing upwards. We've got a long trend here. And we reach this first level where a buy trade now opens. Then market progresses further. We reach the next level and a second trade opens in. And these distances, these price level distances between the trades need to be adjusted. Of course, it's not something that one can just standardize across the board, and that is part of the refinement that you will have to do. We're getting back to the detail. So we've set it up that we don't want to accumulate too many trades before the basket actually closes. So this is just a demonstration of how it is set up on our MetaTrader 4 version. Of course, it is set up to just close really just after the second trade is opened. There's enough profit now between the two trades collectively, and it closes out, and then the market continues. And this repeats, and we've got another basket closing here. This is, of course, now a textbook case. We're not always this lucky, but what has happened here now is that the software has actually opened a number of trades and closed it for us and reaped the profits, reaped the harvest, and close these trades out. And at the moment, we've got no exposure, nothing, no positions open. So then the market turns, and on the way down, if you have activated both directions, the sell trade here will open a bit further, the second one, and it'll close out in profit. And now we get to this bit of demonstration where we open a sell trade here, the market turns, and when you get back to your screen, and I just want to reverse this quickly, because sometimes you get back to the screen and then there's a buy and a sell trade at the same level, and just to point out that those didn't open at the same time. The one opened in time after the other. So what we're looking at here, market coming down, opening the sell trade, turning and opening a buy trade as we go up, and then it progresses further, and those two close out because we ring fence buy and sell profit separately. Very important point there. So here we go up, and we close out in profit, and we've got another two baskets that have closed out in profit. By this time, we have to now come to the conclusion that this here is the bad apple in our basket, and we need to close this trade manually. Now, ladies and gents, we can definitely, you'll see later on when we look at the input screen for the utility, there is provision for stop loss control. Our experience is that when you activate the stop loss, it doesn't render good results, and therefore we would rather intervene now and then and selectively, based on our good judgment, decide to close a negative trade, but not just activate stop losses to kick in automatically, although the function is available to you. So that is now where we intervene. We've picked up that this market has now gone upwards, and the price level is there at the moment, and we're still sitting with a sell trade here. And in our good judgment, we feel this is a good time to get rid of this trade, and then we close it. So here's another concept that we use extensively, and it's not always that obvious, although when you draw a little picture like this, then it is quite obvious that between two trades, halfway between two trades pointing in the same direction, you're actually at a break-even point, because the profit on this trade is equal to the loss on that trade. Now, this is a concept that we use extensively in our approach, because we sometimes use the second trade to accumulate profit to close out a previous negative one. Because now, as you can see, say we were stuck with that buy trade over there, the market came all the way down and it's starting to retrace and going back up, then the market doesn't have to go all the way back up to that price level for us to be at a break even for that one, because in the meantime, we've opened this trade, and halfway there, this profit makes up for that loss. So we actually have break even, and a little bit further up, we're in a profitable position, and we can close out the basket collectively between the two in profit. Now, there are basically two options using our product here, and we've really tried to make it very simple and easy to understand. And there are these two options. The first one being that you place the trades further apart. Like, for instance, in the case of the pairs, the currency pairs, we would start at about 300. We're trading the Euro USD currently, the Euro USD and the Aussie dollar and the USD JPY. They're all starting around 300 points difference between the price level difference between these trades, which means that once a trade is opened, the market has to progress a full, say, 300 points or 30 pips then before the next trade will open. Now, this is your first approach, where you do a bit of a market analysis if you've got the ability to do so. Maybe you want to draw some trend lines, or maybe you use other methods, indicators, or whatever you use as a means of technical analysis. And then you space these trades a little further apart. And then you analyze the market direction. So there's some input required from your side. And then you trade in one or in both directions. Now, we're fully aware, and when we get to the input sheet later on, we will see that we've made provision for trading only long or only short or in both directions. So we're fully aware that in some areas, some countries, our clients are not allowed to hedge. They're not allowed to trade in two directions. So you've got that option to do your market analysis and only trade in one direction. And it's very, very profitable if you get it right, of course, if you've got your direction of the market right. Just in brackets here, you'll see that we're suggesting that you don't trade more than two symbols concurrently on this approach from a margin level perspective. But you'll get a feel very, very quickly as to how many symbols you can actually run concurrently. And the further the trades are apart, the more symbols you can run concurrently, of course. And we want to suggest that if you go for larger price level increments like this, you can actually trade quite a few symbols concurrently. Our norm is to trade around 6 of them concurrently. So the profit target for, if you place those trades further apart, should be something between 0.7% and 1% of account balance. So we don't want to be greedy here. We don't want to make a huge chunk of profit on this basket before it closes, because then you might just miss out on the opportunity. So as you can see, it's a fairly low target, but if you make this kind of money on a regular basis, then this is a good return. And then you manually close trades against the trend from time to time. And this comes from your own analysis and sources that you might be accessing to come to that conclusion. And then the suggested frequency of the screen checks is around twice per day, and definitely after the red economic event, the events that we expect to cause high price action on the market. So we've got a bit of a graphical presentation here of this concept, where we're saying maybe you're using trend lines to determine the trend of the symbol that you're trading. And now you've got two options. You can either link in the long set file only on this stretch here, because you clearly see the market going upwards, and not the short as well, and then the opposite over here. Or you can link in, and if your jurisdiction allows for this, you can link in the long and the short set file, or the long and the short setting rather, on both of these legs, and profit in both directions. Because it's clear to see that even on a long trend like this, there are these little stretches over there where you can actually make some profit in the opposite direction as well. So this is the concept and just a graphical presentation of what it's all about. Now, option 2 is where you place these trades closer to one another. And then doing a market analysis and being aware of the market direction becomes less important, because now these trades are very close to one another. And one can actually just deal with the outliers. And we've got a picture to demonstrate that concept as well. So in this instance, one would definitely trade in two directions. You don't want to go and put these trades very close to one another and then not trade in both directions. And then we're suggesting 2 to 5% profit target on account balance. The reason why you see this is a bit higher than the previous one is that we want to allow more trades to open in each direction before the software actually takes profit. Because otherwise you keep on taking small profits in one direction, you might be accumulating trades against that trend on the other hand, and that would cause a drawdown. So then the idea here being that you only close the outlier trades, and as you can see here, buy trades opened on the way up, sell trades on the way down, and for some reason we've got a bit of a gap here where some of these trades didn't open because of the market direction. It's a bit of a technical explanation that we can share with you on another occasion. And then the idea being that you would only trim away the ones on the far side here. So the ones on the far side of the gap. So this is another option where you don't actually do market analysis and you place the trades closer to one another. And we only deal with the outlier trades and close them manually. Right. In terms of the setup process, it's very, very easy, and we'll go to the screen just now, to the MetaTrader 5 screen to demonstrate this. But firstly, of course, you create an account with a broker. If you don't already have an account with AMP, then that would be your first step, is to create the account and to download the MetaTrader 5 platform, of course. Then you would create a second profile with MQL5 to be able to rent the product, and the VPS. Very importantly, we run this on a VPS because we have to be online 24/7. Actually, now with the symbols like Bitcoin against US dollar coming on board, and where you can actually trade it for 7 days a week. So you have to run this on a VPS. It's not something that you can switch on and off. And therefore, we suggest that you rent a VPS. It's easiest to rent one from MQL5 as well. And then we'll come back to that number just now, the cost for our product, the annual cost for the rental, as well as the VPS. And then you download, I'm very sorry for this mistake here, it should be the MetaTrader 5, so I'm just going to cover it up like that, MetaTrader 5 platform, and you set up your mobile phone in the process, because that is nice to be able to use the phone in order to also close trades on the phone and not necessarily only on the computer. So then one would apply the settings, suggested settings, and you would sync to the VPS. And once you've synced your setup to that VPS, it's up and running on the VPS. And from that point onwards, what happens on your computer screen is less important. You're actually using your computer screen just as a monitor to see a progress, but the actual trading is taking place on that VPS. And I just want to point out that we do have a PDF guide, and we're gonna point you in that direction just now. There's a Google Drive folder with a PDF guide showing you exactly how to do the setup. But we are offering support to do the setup via TeamViewer. You're very welcome to get in touch with us, and we'll do the setup on your behalf, take control of your computer, do the setup for you, and just also talk you through some questions you might have while we're at it. Right, so just to summarize the steps, once you've got the platform up and running, you would load a symbol chart. You would then apply a strat builder light to both to your symbol chart. If you're going to be trading two symbols, it will be to both. How you do that is you just drag, and I'm going to demonstrate this practically just now. You drag the strat builder onto the chart, you change those input settings, and you click on OK. And that's as easy as it is. It's really a three-step process to get going. And then you sync this setup to the VPS, and then it's up and running. So here is our email address if you want to email us and you've got some questions you want to ask, or if you want to arrange for the setup process, setup support via TeamViewer, you're very welcome to email us on this address. So just some philosophy in terms of the onboarding process. We really prefer for our clients to start out on a demo account and to apply the strategy to a demo account, get really comfortable with it, and then a live demo that is, and then change those settings for the symbols that you want to trade and get the optimum settings that works best for you. And we can also do some back testing. I'll show you how to do that later on. For those of you who don't know, on the MetaTrader 5 platform. And then you monitor those results. And when you're really comfortable that you've got the right settings for the symbols that you want to trade, then you switch to a real account. Otherwise, there's a lot of pressure on getting the settings right while you're working with your real money. So this is just a suggestion to start with the demo. In terms of questions, you can email, as we've mentioned, to WincorpSA at gmail.com. And this is also our website address. And you'll see more of the MetaTrader 4 info on the website rather than the MetaTrader 5. So I just want to share a few other pages with you quickly. So this is what the product logo looks like, the strat builder light. And this is our description. And as you see, we're indicating here that you can trade long with it, you can trade short with it, only short or only long, or you can do both. And it's a simple setting to make that adjustment. And as you can see here further down, this is now on the MT5 market. That is what we're on here. And as you can see, the settings that you have to, or the decisions you have to make in terms of settings, parameters, are actually very few. And we can go through them quickly, starting with the magic number. Now, this is a term that MPL5 uses. It's not our term. And this is just a tag with which the trades are tagged to ring fence them separately. You'll recall that I mentioned in the beginning that we ring fence our buy and sell trades separately, and then obviously every symbol, the profit on every symbol is ring fenced separately. So to be able to achieve that, you need to choose a unique magic number or tag then per symbol. Then you've got a choice in terms of the lot size. There are two settings here. If you choose lot size dynamic, if you make this true, it means that the software will actually calculate the lot size for you dynamically, which means that as the account balance increases, the lot size will also increase because the software will be calculating the allowable lot size as a percentage of free margin. You may want to also make this a fixed lot size, although we would suggest that you stay with the first option. But if you want to go that route, you want to keep to a fixed lot size, then this would be false. You would not be selecting dynamic lot size. It would be a fixed lot size. And then over here, you will actually specify a fixed lot size. And then that will be the lot size for that symbol until you make a change. Stop loss, as I've mentioned, you can activate it. It's a available control. We do not suggest that this works very well when you do grid trading, but it is there for you. And if you feel that you would rather activate it as a risk control measure, you're welcome to do so. And this is expressed in points, as it says there. Same with take profit. It is not a control that we normally activate on our sample strategies, and I'll talk a bit about the sample strategies later on. And the trading stop. So these standard controls, if I may call them that, they're all available here for you if you want to use them. Although we suggest that you rather run your tests without activating these. So when you change this number to a 0, it means that this control is deactivated. And then we go to this one here. We have to allow for some slippage. I'm sure you all know what that means. And then we get to this very, very important choice that we have to make here. So if we're in a jurisdiction where hedging is allowed, you can choose long and short, which means that in our example that we've looked at earlier on, the long and the short trades will open. So you'll be opening trades in two directions, or you might want to just choose long or short, and those are the options you have. This one here, this control, isolate trading direction, is when you want the software to calculate your long and short profit. As it says here on the right, you'll see there's a description on the right-hand side every time. If you want the software to calculate your long and short profit separately, individually, then you would select true here because it will isolate the trading direction. If you want the long and the short profits to be thrown into one basket per symbol, so in other words, all your buy trades and all your sell trades are thrown into one basket, and when you reach a profit percentage, then you would select false here. The level increment is the distance between the trades. And as you will recall now from our those few slides that we went through, you can either place them close to one another without really much of a technical analysis, directional analysis of the market. And then you would typically on the pairs, I'm specifically referring now to the pairs, currency pairs, you could select a level increment of say 50 or 100 points. And then if you're going the other route where you're actually doing a market analysis and you want to take the trend into account, one would stretch this and you would rather go towards say 300 points or even more. And then this one here is another strat builder unique control. This is the so-called max profit control. And this is a percentage of balance. So this is where the software will close the basket. It will close the basket when you achieve 0.7% in this case on account balance. And this is also, of course, all of these are adjustable figures, and I'll just elaborate a little bit more on sample values just now. Max drawdown is the opposite of this. This is also a control that you might want to activate, where if a certain symbol causes a drawdown of a certain percentage on account balance, then it'll close all the trades. This is also something that we don't use often in our sample strategies, but it's available to you. And then show info is just a dashboard top left on the screen, which I'll demonstrate just now. You might want to opt to not to display, because you want the full chart area available to see the latest data. So this is it. In terms of the cost of the rental, we've got two options. You can either rent the product for $15 per month, or you can rent it at a discount if you want to rent it on an annual basis for $150 for the year as a whole. And then just for those of you who don't know, on MTR5, if you want to rent a VPS from them, you've also got different options. It's $10 a month. It's the shortest period that you can rent a VPS from, a server in other words. And if you rent it for a year, you get quite a hefty discount, and it comes down to $95. So that's why on one of those previous slides, you saw that we were referring to a total of $245 for the year, which is a total of the $150 to rent Stratford Light, and the $95 to rent the MTR5 VPS. So just very, very quickly to take you to the MetaTrader 4 screen, just to give you some comfort that we've been around for a while. We've had our MetaTrader 4 product on the market for the past 4 years or so. And for those of you who are not familiar with this market, there are 2,000 similar products on this market for MetaTrader 4. And as you can see, that we are really here in a very, very favorable position. We normally hover, up and down within the first 10 or so products. Now, the MetaTrader 5 product, which is Stratford Light, is a derivative of this, and it's really based on the sample strategy that we propose for this as well. So it's we can call it the MetaTrader 5 version of this product for MetaTrader 4. Then I just want to point your attention to this. Matt has undertaken to post the link to this Google Drive folder on the webinar room, and you will have access to this folder, and you will see that there are two documents here. So the first one is the webinar content. If I just open that, you'll see that this is the couple of talking points that we've just gone through. So you are always welcome to go and check back there for all of that. And then I'm very sorry, I've just gone one step too far. And then the other document is this one here, which is the setup guide. Now this one deals in detail with the steps for you to do the setup on your screen, but we're also going to be just running through those steps quickly. But just to say, there's a bulleted guide here, which actually explains, and this is the screen that we've just been looking at, that explains all of the steps for you to do the setup on your own, if you prefer to do so, and you would prefer to rather go this route rather than us supporting you via TeamViewer to do the setup. So with that, I just want to quickly take stock here. I then want to take you to the MetaTrader 5 screen. And this is just a practical demonstration of, this is on the tester. So we've activated the strategy tester at the bottom here. We've deactivated the toolbox. There's the toolbox. We've deactivated that for now. And we're working with the tester. And just to show you again, if you then right click on the chart and you were to go to expert list and you would go to properties, then you will find these settings that we've just discussed. You will find a list of them there. And to change the value here, so just to also point out that there are two tabs. So if your software opens up with this tab, this is just the common tab, just select inputs, and then you'll see these couple of settings. And as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, it's really just a few inputs that you have to choose from, and then you've got a tool up and running, and you've got your trading automated, fully automated. So starting with a magic number, to change a value, you need to just double click and then you can just type away and make that a different number. For these where you have to choose true or false, it's just double click to change it. And then the lot size, as you can see, what we normally select, our preference is to select a percentage of free margin. And then, as I mentioned before, we don't generally use the stop loss or the take profit or the trading stops. And for that matter, also the max drawdown is something that we don't use often, because we've developed what we call sample strategies, where our client can actually just use some of the values that we're suggesting and get going straight away without doing too much of an analysis, although the option is always there for you to adapt this for other symbols that we're not necessarily trading, and also maybe you want to optimize it by using the strategy tester. So we're coming back to the tester just now. So just to run through the list, take profit we don't use, stop losses we don't use, and trading stops. Slippage you have to specify. So in this instance, we've specified 50 points to be the slippage. We've specified to trade in two directions, long and short, but you might want to, especially if in certain jurisdictions, you're not allowed to go long and short and you don't have a hedging account. So you won't be able to go long and short. So you will then select either long or you will select short, and not necessarily both of them. Then isolate trading direction. We talked about that. That's to isolate the profit in either direction. The level increment between the trades is specified in points. Maybe you want to make this 300, maybe you want to make this 100, depending on what your approach is. And then your max profit. So this is the percentage, just to repeat, this is the percentage at which the basket will close. So if you've specified this as 2, that means that once you've got 2% profit on account balance in that specific direction, because we have isolated the direction, say for instance on gold, if we've got 2% profit collectively on our gold buy trades, then this basket will close. The software will do that on your behalf and close out. And show info is just this dashboard, top left. So if you want to, if you feel that that's taking up too much space on your chart area and you want to deactivate it, you will just go to false and then it will disappear. Right, so I'm going to go back to the tester function here just to demonstrate how this actually works. So I'm going to just increase the bottom section here so we can see all of the controls and what we've entered. So I'm going to stretch it a little bit more and then I'll cut it back to size. So we've selected, in this instance, we've selected, first we go to settings, we've selected to trade the USD JPY, and we have, this is now running a back test on historic data, right? So we've selected the date here, that was the end of, beginning actually of December of 2018, and we ran this right through to the 17th of January 2019. And I don't know whom of you have been trading the USD JPY over that period, but you will recall that this period actually includes that mini flash crash that we had. I think it was on the 3rd of January of 2019. So it's quite interesting to see what would have happened if you've run this strategy over that period of time. There's some settings here that we've selected just to show we're trading the USD JPY. Then we go to the inputs tab. Sorry, I've got to make this a bit bigger again. Let's go there. So we've selected the magic number of 1 just to tag. It's just a tag for the trades to isolate the profit. And then we've also selected lot size dynamic, which means that we are defining the lot size as a percentage of free margin, not as a fixed lot size. And then we've specified in the next row that we want the margin usage per trade to represent 1% of free margin. Then we haven't activated a stop loss, we haven't activated a take profit, and there are no trailing stops. And then the slippage we've defined as 20 points. The trading direction is in both directions. We've isolated the long and the short profit. We have got a level increment of 50 points. So this is an example of a situation where one would not spend too much time on a trend analysis, because the trades are simply so close to one another that the trend becomes less important. Your management of the account is still important though. And then we've done something unique here. You'll see that we've specified the max profit to be 7%. Now, 7% is quite a high number. Why did we do this? We did this because we don't want the trades in one or other direction to close out too quickly. Because in a breakout situation, you might find that if you make that number low now, let's say it breaks out to the top, you keep on taking profit in the long direction, but it closes all the time. And in the meantime, you might be sitting with trades in the short direction as well because you haven't closed them. And that could be detrimental to your account. I don't know whether this concept is clear, and I know it's a bit of a technical explanation, but this is something that we can talk about more over a TeamViewer session, or maybe even if there's a follow-up, Matt, or there's a specific question about this afterwards, I'll also elaborate again more on this. So just to point out that in this instance, in this specific instance, because I put the trades so close to one another, we have defined the profit target to be quite high. It's 7% in each direction before that basket will close. Now, the higher you push this, of course, the bigger increments you will see, increases you will see on your account balance. Max drawdown, we haven't activated it. And show info, we've actually got that as a true. And then there is this option, as you can see there, we've got lines indicating where the next trade will open to show you how far these trades are spaced apart. And there is this option to deactivate those lines so that it's not visible and it doesn't clutter your screen. So that's only what this is, just a visual thing. That's the only relevance there. So I'm just going to push down this section a bit. And this is where we're now going to hit the start button. And then I'll try and point out a few of the important aspects as we're going along. So I suspect it's loading now. The data. And you can see here at the bottom, there's this green running across the logo. And I think it's just because it's loading data. So we'll just give it a short while. What we would like to demonstrate with this, on the tester here, is how these trades actually are closed at the same time, how these lines converge, and how you see a basket closing out in profit. So I'm hoping that that's going to be visible to you very soon. So we're just giving it a short while still to complete the data upload. And then we should see it up and running. My mistake. I'm so sorry about that. So so what has happened here? We'll just have to start again. Let's just go back to this screen and let's stop and let's go back and look at our settings quickly. I think we've got them a little close to one another. Let's make that a level increment of 100. There we go. And slippage of 20. And we're opening long and short trades. And let's see how this works out for us. And this is on the, let's go back to settings. And let's change this maybe to the Euro USD. We can get back to the JPY just now. So let's do that. And let's go to start. And let's see what happens there. So now we're loading data, right? And here we go. So I'm going to use this pause button here to demonstrate a few concepts. Now, as you can see, we've had a few buy trades open here. and then you see those dotted lines, and I know it's not that clear on this specific section, so let's have it run a little bit further, and then see how that works out for us. It looks like I've actually pressed the wrong button. So we're starting again, and we go back here and we start, and then we go back to our tester. So maybe I shouldn't stop it and rather point out to you as we're going along. You can see these are sell trades, and now we're stuck with a couple of buy trades at the top there, because the sell trades actually took profit, as you can see over here. They took profit, and now we're at the bottom here. There's one level where we've now got a buy and a sell trade at the same level actually, and now it's turning and it's going back up. And the question is whether you should close those trades. And this is where your experience comes in to say, I'm going to leave those because I'm thinking that the market's going to go back up a little bit. And then these buy trades at the bottom, remember that illustration we had about 2 trades pointing in the same direction. And then halfway between the two, we're at break even. So this is a situation where we've got buy trades at the bottom. We've got buy trades at the top. And if it goes up far enough, as you've just seen here, it closes the whole basket. And there you've got these converging lines, the blue ones, telling you that all the buy trades now closed out at one point here, and you accumulated the profit. And as you can see there, we started out with a balance of $10,000, and it's really gone, already given us on balance quite an increase. But we do have a drawdown on the open positions. And we're more interested in what's happening on equity than what's happening on balance. So let's see now as we progress further. We're now sitting with a couple of buy trades and sell trades. And on this dashboard, you can actually see the total long trades open at the moment, or buy trades are 4, and the shorts are 8, and then it increased to 9 because all of these buy trades now closed out again. This basket closed. And now we need for the market to come down again a bit for all the sell trades to close out. So we just give it a short while to see if we can see a demonstration of that. So where your intervention comes in is to decide that you might want to prune away, if I can call it that, some of the trades at the bottom or the top to allow for the basket to close out quicker. And that is something that one will develop over time. You'll develop a feel for this. And also have an idea of how far you want to put these trades apart so that you don't overexpose your account, because obviously the closer you put the trades or define the trades to be opened the closer to one another, the more trades you're going to open in a shorter period of time, and your exposure is going to be higher. But that also gives you more opportunities for profit taking, of course. And as you can see in this demonstration now, we haven't closed anything manually. We're not able to do that on the tester function. So it's really just the software doing everything so far for us, taking profit in both directions, because that's the way it's been set up in this specific instance. So we need for the market to come down a bit for us to close. There we go. And now we've reduced our short exposure, but all the short trades have actually closed out. And you can see that we had a huge jump in equity over there. And we actually almost starting on a clean slate here with just a few trades open. And now we need for the market just to run back upwards again to be able to close those buy trades and to accumulate more profits. We need for it to go a little bit further, but we have got buy trades here. So we need for the market to go up, say, to about there somewhere before the buy with the long basket would be closing out in profit. So that was it turned just a little too low for the buy basket. But then we've made some profit on the sell basket, on the short basket, that closed out. And now we need for it to turn back up again for those buy trades to close out. I think you're getting the idea. And maybe we should have it run just a little bit longer and see how it goes back up. If it does, I'm not sure what happens on this stretch. And if it doesn't, then so maybe that's a good point to mention. If you're of the opinion that the market is going to continue further down and it's not going to give you an opportunity to close out those buy trades again further up, then one has to start pruning away at these. You have to start closing some of these buy trades in order to reduce your long exposure. But that is something that if your trades are very close to one another, the 50 point setting that we chose here, that we selected here, then that is not often necessary to close trades. If you're going for a bigger increment between the trades, then that is a much higher requirement. So let's just give it a short while. I'm just going to give it like a couple of seconds to see if it closes the buy basket for us on the way up. As I said, I haven't got an idea of where this is going, what the specific market pattern was for this stretch of time that we've selected here. But it would be nice if it goes up a little bit further and it closes the long basket in profit again, because that would reduce our exposure significantly. Now, the nice thing about placing these trades so close to one another is that because of the hedging effect, and this is something that you can only do if you do hedge, if you do place the trades so close to one another, if you are able in your jurisdiction to trade in both directions, because the one actually acts as a hedge for the other direction, or as a replacement for a stop loss then, and then you'll understand why we are not keen on using stop losses. So if it doesn't give us an upswing now, then I'm just going to go back, but I'll just give it a couple of seconds longer and see what happens. So I think it must be very close. Yeah, it was very close to closing out in profit on the long. So I'm just going to stop this demonstration. And as you can see, we're up to 15 grand there. We started out with 10, and this is a very short period of time. So it can be very, very lucrative. And with that, I'm just going to go back to our screen over here. And before I then close out, I'm just going to hand back Matt. I don't know whether you're going to be facilitating the questions or whether clients are going to be talking to me directly, but I'm open to answer any questions at this stage.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. That was very informative. Regarding the questions, you can go ahead and send a question to the email address you see in front of you. You can also send any questions you have to webinars@ampglobal.com, and then we'll redirect them to the right person. Now, what I wanted to share is a quick Google Drive PDF with some information about what we talked about today. So you should see it pop up on your screen right now. And you'll get a lot of links on how to actually set this utility up on MT5, and a little bit more information about Koos and what he's doing with his expert advisors and utilities. So you should see a pop-up on your screen right now. Click here for more information. If you open that up, it should give you a Google Drive folder. Once you open those up, you'll see there's a lot of information. You can also download the file, take a look, and decide if you wanna use it. I'm also gonna send right now another pop-up. This is the actual link for the software. I'm just gonna be sending that out in a bit, and you can go ahead and check it out on the MQL5 store. And this webinar recording is going to be available. So once we finish, now in about 10 minutes, once we finish, 5 minutes, sorry, and you just come back to the page and just refresh, you'll be able to watch the whole webinar again. You'll be able to replay any part that you want. So if you missed anything, don't worry, you can watch it again. And right now I'm posting as a pop-up the MQL5 link. So you can actually go check it out. Yeah, it should be named MQL5 utility. Once you click that, you will be in the MQL5 store. You can check out the strategy, As Koos said, you can rent it, you can do the free demos, you can buy it, whatever you want. If you have any questions, feel free to contact them at wincorpsa@gmail.com. And apart from that, I think that's it for me. Thank you very much for taking your time and listening to this webinar. And hope we see you around.